Yeah, Gary, I wondered where you were going there.
I was getting into the zone.
We're just about to go live, folks, and then Gary, you can't see him, but I could see him behind the scenes here, just get up and disappeared. I had a nervous moment.
No, my zone's over there. So
Well, clearly.
I was getting into the zone.
Getting into the zone.
I must be a stickler for straight lines, Andy, because one of my wee blind things was slightly out of sync, and rather than waiting till later on to fix it, I need to go and fix that.
I'd rather to waiting to a sensible time, like after the show. You chose 3 seconds before broadcast to give me a bit of a fright.
I don't know what it is, Andy. Is that called something? Is it something that I've done?
I have no idea, Gary. But anyway, folks, welcome. Great to see you all. Have you tuning in for this evening's viewing?
Yes, welcome to the show, one and all, the viewer. And just to let everyone know, I'm hearing hot on the wires, Scotland have just won the Euros. So we have to stop now. Apparently we're winning 1-0 and we've just to stop, and that's us won. That's it. Done. There you go.
Scotland's winning the Euros. What do we get for winning 1-0 tonight? Who are we playing, Gary? You know I don't do football.
It's one each. We're playing the Netherlands.
Oh, well, listen, that's not bad against them. They're a good mob over there, are they not?
Yeah, they're I mean, what's the difference, Andy, between the Netherlands and Holland?
Is there a punchline to this one, Gary?
No, it's a serious topic. This is a bit of banter that we make up for 20 minutes. It's a serious topic. What's the difference?
I don't know, Gary. What's the difference between the Netherlands and Holland?
I think I know, but I'm going to leave it hanging there. I'm going to actually ask as well. Does anyone know where Zealand is? We know where New Zealand is, but where's Zealand?
Where's Old Zealand?
No, just Zealand.
Just the original one.
The Zealand of the I know. So I asked somebody that once and they went, "It's there, YouTube." So there is a Zealand.
Yeah. Well, we know a lot of places in America were named after places in the UK. A lot of places in Australia and New Zealand were named after the UK. Yeah. But where is Gary? I've never ever thought to ask that question.
Where Zealand is?
Where Zealand is.
There you go. Or what the difference between the Netherlands and Holland?
It's going to be. Is this tonight a geography special, Gary? I thought it was a sports special that we had this evening.
Sports people travel, Andy. That's the link.
Well, this is true, and our guests have travelled, and maybe we will ask them if they've been to Zealand or other places. So, Gary, I've got a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Have you recovered from last week's marathon chat show?
Was that overrun or the overrun?
It was about 4 hours long, was it not?
Strangely, last week's chat show brought some interesting interventions since the chat show.
Such as?
Such as bumping into our guest.
Oh.
Into one of our guests, a real live guest.
Like in like real life bumping into, Gary. That's against the COVID rules.
It's against the chat show rules. We've never met one of our guests in real life. So I was in Blend.
Is this the first rule of chat show, that you don't meet your guests?
It's meant to be the other way about, isn't it? So we met who was on the show last week?
Come on. It was our Paisley Culture special.
I know, I met George last week.
And Liz.
I was into Blend for a wee latte, as you do, and bumped into George. It was, George, how's it going? And, funny you mentioned Jackie there, bumped into Jackie in the high street.
Oh, well, there you go, Jackie. One of our usuals.
Yeah, she nearly in with a bus running across the road to almost give me a hug, and I had to go, whoa, wait a minute.
Hey, keep your distance.
I'm in of that. Do you know what post?
We know Elisa's joining us from New York. And I think she was going to get her lycra and sweatbands on tonight, Gary, because it's a sports special.
Oh, were we meant to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, my sport equipment's over in the other wing.
Oh, it's non-interactive, Gary. We don't. Hopefully, we don't need to do anything. I've not prepared.
No, I'm not. I've not been sporty for a wee while, and I'm missing it. I must admit, I'm missing my five-a-sides and my interaction and my goals and my rest period to go in goals.
Well, indeed, Chicago calling. So there you go, whiskey and coke. Is that not a bit early, Elizabeth?
Is it the afternoon in Chicago, Elizabeth? No one's answered the Zealand question, so there can't be one.
She's hit the bottle already.
Yeah, looks like it. So I don't know where the Holland-Netherlands thing is landing, but I think, just to put everyone out of their misery, Netherlands is this big whole area that is Holland's a bit.
So is Netherlands, is that otherwise known as the Nether region, Gary? Would that be right?
It could be called that, if you like.
Evening, Ronnie. How are you, sir?
Yeah. So I don't know too much about it, Andrew. I'm not a geography expert. In fact, if you challenge me, we had a client once, and they were educating me on the difference between Great Britain, the British Isles, the UK, all of that stuff. I found it really confusing. I know now Great Britain is that Scotland, England, Wales thing.
Yep.
And the UK is Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, I think.
Yeah.
With the Channel Islands and Isle of Man thrown in for good measure, I think.
Well, we could be asking someone later on tonight who has got a role connected to the UK by way of representation, but we'll get to that momentarily.
See, Andy, I thought it was GB.
Oh, is it GB? Oh, well, there you go. I think you might be right. I've maybe overstated there.
See, UK, I think, is GB and Northern Ireland.
See, I'm confused, Gary. But listen, we've got breaking news from Paul Stewart. I don't know if he's Googled this one.
Yeah, he did Google
that. Zealand is a Danish island.
He's Googled that. It's not a Paul and knows all about Danish islands.
Is Denmark not landlocked? I don't know. My geography is terrible. Let's change the subject, Gary, because my geography is completely inadequate this evening for your line of questioning.
Oh, but we were finding a way there to start to link the show together. the GB in the UK.
The GB in the UK, not scripted, folks. Well, listen, welcome to Chat Show 58.
Is it 58 already, Andy?
58, Gary, and this is, I don't know if this is our fourth last chat show from season 1, because, folks, we announced last week, for those that perhaps weren't watching, that myself and Gary are going to be winding down Chat Show to the end of June. So we've got some fantastic guests coming up between now and then. And then we're going to take a wee break over the summer, because we've been doing this constant every week for 58 weeks. It's been great fun, but it's time to take a wee break over the summer. Yeah. We appreciate lots of folk will be going on holidays, and then we'll be back, hopefully, autumn, winter.
Yeah, I think they're thinking about wheeling us off to the Chat Show retirement home in Zealand.
In Zealand, down under, Gary. Anyway, what's caught your eye this week, sir?
Oh, there's a few things caught my eye. The sun, for one. After my forecast last week, when we were discussing inclement weather, and I forecast that the weather would become less inclement. In fact, I forecast this, Andy, last week, if you recall.
You did?
I said the weather would be as good as it is now. So I'm taking all the credit for that. So the sun has caught my eye. But while the sun was catching my eye, Andy,
right. Yep.
And going out for a walk here and there,
aye,
if I can find these things, you know more about them than me. Where are they? Right, if I can find a couple of things.
They're in brand, Gary, in brand.
Yeah, I'm just needing a wee refresh. One thing caught my eye, and someone sent these pictures into us actually, and then another thing caught my eye. But I was walking past the Paisley Centre, Andy, and the entrance, that picture on the right-hand side is the entrance to the old McDonald's.
Oh.
They had a farm. So that was the entrance to the old McDonald's. It was quite interesting to see someone up a rickety, not very safe ladder doing a wee bit of prep work up in that paint area. So It looks like someone's preparing to move into the old McDonald's. And then the picture on the left-hand side, Andy, yes. Nomad is a Tata Bella's.
I was going to say, is that Tata Bella's has now found a new tenant?
Yeah. Found a new home, by the looks of it, Andy, from a nomadic experience. It's now called Nomads Coffee. Nomads. So interesting. Coffee house becomes a coffee house next to a coffee house and a wee cluster of coffee houses up that end of the town. So
you'll never be stuck if you want a coffee up there. But I thought a couple of things, Gary, that struck me, because I thought Nomads was a good name. I liked that. I thought that's quite good. That's a good brand. And then the other one is called, I think is it called The Gathering Threads?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I thought was really good. There's a play on Paisley there. But I have to be honest, Gary, I think it was last Saturday, or it was the Saturday before, myself and Claire took a wee wander into the town, and I saw one of the folk that are moving in there had their ladder up and they were painting the outside of it. But the ladder, I don't think it would have passed health and safety standards, Gary.
Well, I missed you, Andy, because we compared notes and I was thereabouts, similar time, and it looked extremely dodgy.
Aye. For every 3 meters up, you're meant to go 1 meter out, Gary. And this was about 1 meter up and 3 meters out.
Oh, was it? Aye. I know, it didn't look very safe. But we've not had any reports of incidents.
There's been no reports.
Yeah, apart from people moving into the high street. People moving into the high street, Andy, as people and corporations move out. I'm not having a rant. There'll be no ranting this week. I'm pleased to report the entrepreneurial spirit in our high street. As M&S moves out, the entrepreneurial spirit. So you can see the shadow brand there of M&S. Somebody should go up there with a hose actually and get rid of that shadow brand. They're gone. They're gone from the high street, and possibly not forever. But there's Fairfields Cafe being extremely entrepreneurial and decided, I'm going to take that space up there and I'm going to make it look nice. And I'm not just going to make it look nice, but I'm going to sell coffee and cake and whatever else I sell there and make the place a bit more appealing and vibrant. And it certainly is that.
I think it's smashing, Gary. It's, when there was another post on Facebook from lower down in the high street, looking up the high street, that kind of classic view of Paisley High Street that you tend to see. And you could see all those gazebos or canopies or whatever they're called over at Marks and Spencer's. And I thought, that's fantastic. Well done to the folk in the cafe for Fairfields that they just thought, rather than staring at an eyesore that Marks and Spencer's have moved away from, rather than staring at that eyesore, we're going to go and we're going to expand our coffee shop offering in the high street. So they've clearly invested a bit of money. They've went out and got those canopies all in their corporate colours. They've set them up, and now you can have al fresco coffee in the high street. Al fresco coffee in the high street, Gary. And this week's been a cracking week for weather. So well done to them.
And it'll no doubt be canopies, Andy, if that's how you pronounce it. That's a very, very posh cake, that, is it not?
Well, listen, Gary, that also reminded me of this image, right? Now, that image, folks, that is Paisley High Street of the future. And that high street image was put together by Architects 360. And they were commissioned by Scottish Government, Scottish Towns Partnership, Renfrewshire Council to do this Paisley 2030 vision. And this is what they could see looking up the high street. So a redevelopment, and this is only an artist's impression of what it could look like. But I remember typical kind of negative folk on Facebook slagging off, saying you can never have dining outside, you can never have that, you can never have this, so we don't have the weather. But there you go, Gary. Look at that.
Yeah. And they said it couldn't be done.
Aye.
Yeah, it couldn't be done. So a wee bit of imagination. Change brings change, Andy, and that's what's happening in our town centre. We're bottoming out, and there's Elaine at Fairfield's taking a chance.
Absolutely. Well done, you. So a couple of wee things that caught my eye this week, Gary. So I'm going to head up the West End a little bit, and this one caught my eye. Posted up on Facebook, and it is keeping you up to date with the development works that's going on at the TA building. So clearly you can see that there's an awful lot of structural supports going in there, the scaffolding and so on. But it's great to see that there is work underway, because I know a lot of our viewers were very concerned. A lot of the community were very concerned about the future of that building. But it's great to see money being spent on it, investment being made in the town. And isn't that just fantastic, Gary?
I mean, that's great to see, Andy. I mean, I can now see from just to the left there, to the left of Coates Memorial, you've got the wee Rock and Rollers building, which has been invested in. Coates itself, TA, museum, along the High Street, into the High Street strip itself, down into the Town Hall, out to the St Mun's Cathedral.
Aye.
If we get it right, Andy, and get the messaging right, I don't know how long that bit is, but it could be our golden kilometre, let's say. Doesn't roll off the tongue that very well. May get net involved in that one, but it could be our golden kilometre, because it definitely is bookended.
It is. I hear what you're saying, Gary.
You distracted, Andy. I'm sorry. It's 10 minutes late there.
Tea service there, Gary.
Service is getting worse. That's 10 minutes.
No, it is. It could be the kind of Paisley's, the style mile. And I think they've got that one in Glasgow, haven't they? But we'll come up with something. We'll get some good marketing boards. Right next to it, of course, is Coates. That caught my eye, Gary, this week. They're hosing down the steps.
Was that you there, Andy, with your Burger King outfit on and your hose?
Oh, and that's not me, Gary. My Burger King, my wimpy outfit.
Your wimpy outfit.
No, that wasn't me. That's a high visibility worker, Gary. That's what they're called. Hosing.
I do know, Andy, as they were doing that, and see if you look across the road, you might have caught the corner of your eye. The Witherspoon statue has also had a wee blast.
Oh, is it had a wee tidy up? Well, that was looking good. And two very quick images, Gary, that caught my eye. And these are the folks from, I think they're called Digital Pix. And they're a company in the town. But up at that part, I think they went up to Saucil Hill, and we've had some gorgeous weather this week, folks. And look at that image.
Oh, yeah.
You see the university, you see Coates, you see the John Nielsen, the Pudding Bowl, and just the sun just going through. And then they took this other image, which I just think is absolutely staggering, right? Look at the colours at the back there. Look at that hill profile. Look at the cloud. Is that not just absolutely beautiful?
Andrew, that could almost be Scandinavian. That could be Zealand, for all you know. That could be that type of, you know what I mean? That type of skyscape.
Aye, skyscape, Gary. We'll go with that. But isn't that just brilliant? That's Paisley, folks. That's just beautiful. Absolutely.
Where is that, Andy? Just get my bearings. I know it's the High Church. Is that High Church? Is that
correct? Yeah, that's well, you can see the Liberal Club there down at the bottom of it. So I think it's the High Church, and that's taken from Saucil Hill, Gary, with a big zoom lens. But it looks like things.
Yeah. Slightly different perspective in that one, Andy, because you can see those flats in the left. That you don't normally get that perspective on that view. That's amazing. That's stunning. What's over the back there, Andy, as you look right over into the hills?
Well, I'm guessing that's going to be. Is that not going to be into the Campsies?
Yeah, I mean, I'd see just down below the roofs there, in between the wee chimney. Is that the wee? Is that the wee head of the guy that lies in Dumbarton? You know, the kind of lion man that lies there?
Oh, aye, I know what you mean. I know what you can see there. I don't know, Gary. I need to kind of see it for myself. But what a brilliant picture. Absolutely stunning. Yeah, so when you see folks saying, Paisley's no get anything in it, Paisley's rubbish, Paisley's that. No, it's no. Just open your eyes and have a bit of appreciation for the wonderment that lies round about us. That's what we need, Gary.
We do, and we've got it in spades, Andy, the people in the town that are positive about the town. So if they say it can't be done, stick with it. It can be done.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Gary, we've got a fantastic weather. As we talk about all the time, the guests make the show, and we've got some wonderful guests on this evening. And tonight is a sporting theme, folks.
I'm out my depth already, Andy. Out my depth.
Well, I'm kind of on my stomach in here a wee bit, Gary, and
talking about sport and yourself. Are you still doing your running?
I was out last night. I did a wee 5K last night, Gary. I did, yeah.
No, just a wee 5K.
Well, it was a 5K length of 5K.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
It was, but it was good. Yeah, I was a wee bit sore today, so I know that it worked. But yeah.
Do you not find that running in the heat is extremely hot?
I don't quite know how to answer that, Gary. I left the house about 6:30, 7 o'clock, something like that, Gary. And the heat was down. Certainly, there was no strong heat off a glaring sun, but the ambient temperature was pretty warm.
Heat, maybe we'll ask some of our sports people coming on, but the heat is worse. What people say to you running, when it's raining, no, running in the rain and the wet, as long as it's not torrential, is far better than running in stifling heat.
Aye, better for sure. Now, before we bring on our first guests, because we were just about to lead into them, two quick ones, Gary. We've got the cracking kilometre.
Aye, yeah, okay. That's a contender.
But this one's quite good, Gary. I like the next one from Jane.
Well, there we go.
The Mirren Mile.
Hey, that's Annette. Make a note of that. That was us. That was us that came up with that. Wasn't it, Jane? The Mirren Mile. PCT copyright. Oh, that's a belter.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Gary, on to our guests now. So, folks, we've got two smashing guests tonight. It's all about sport. So, our very first guest is a world champion. And our second guest coming up will be representing Team GB on the world stage. So, and they're both from Paisley. And what more could you ask for? So, we're going to go to our very first guest, and it's Kathleen, who is currently the world kettlebell champion, believe it or not. So here is Kathleen. Kathleen, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you.
Hi, Kathleen. Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Gary.
A world champion, indeed. Imagine that.
Good to have you on,
in my
Kathleen.
Age category, because the championships go in age categories. So I couldn't go up against a 20-year-old and still be called a world champion.
No, absolutely. Well, listen, Kathleen, for those, we'll dive into that in a moment, but for those that don't know you, tell us a wee bit about yourself, and in particular, tell us a bit about what you do in regards to kettlebelling, if that's even a term. So over to you, Kathleen.
Right. Well, I'll be 72 in a couple of weeks. And I wasn't a fitness person at all, not in the least. I was your proverbial couch potato until I was 61, and my life changed a little bit, and it made me think that I had to get my ass off that sofa and get moving. And a friend, I didn't know what I wanted to do, whether to join a gym or start running, and a friend mentioned kettlebells, a chap she goes to, and I thought, well, it's 5 minutes away from my house, so I'll give it a try. And I was introduced to Scott McLaughlin at Just Train in Hillington, and I don't think he knew what to expect when I turned up. And I says, I want to learn how to do kettlebells. He said, have you had any fitness training before? And I says, no, I've had nothing. So anyway, fast forward 8-9 years, and I've just now been to Greece and Poland, Milan and Ireland, representing the Scottish Kettlebell Sports Federation. And I started lifting kettlebells at 8 kilos. They come in 4 kilos increments, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28 and 32. So you normally, obviously, you start round about 8, but they have, for somebody who starts at 8 and then jumps up to a 12, that can be quite a big jump. So you can have a kettlebell, a 10 in between, so you can go in between these. But the 8, 12, 16s and all that are for competition, really. So I did my first competition in February 2014. It was a Scottish Open competition. And it was open to everyone in the UK. So there was quite a few people there from England, and there was no age restrictions at all. So I was competing with people that were younger, and that was a tremendous boost. But it was also nerve-wracking because it was my first time on platform, and I was lifting 12 for long cycle, and you have to do it for 10 minutes. And if you don't do 10 minutes, then you're out, more or less. So it's reps and 10 minutes.
How did you do in that one, Kathleen?
Sorry?
How did you do in that one against all those other people?
I won.
Why?
Yeah, I got a gold.
Wow.
I think I did 105 reps from memory. So,
well, that must have given you such a boost.
Yeah, I think I was about maybe 65 there or something, 65 then or something like that.
Well,
yeah, so it's been a bit of a journey.
Yeah, not only, I mean, at your age, I mean, what a wonderful mindset to have, that you're not just going to be confined to a television or confined to a low activity life, but you've got a wonderful mindset. You got a fantastic physical fitness to go along with that. But the kettlebell stuff is something that you only took up fairly recently. So you, I guess, would have been going up against people that had been perhaps training for a lot longer and maybe even a bit younger. So clearly it was a kind of natural thing for you to take to, Kathleen. Would that be fair to say?
I don't know if it was natural or not. It was just when I picked up my first kettlebell when I was 61, I felt, oh my God, you know, you've seen a kettlebell, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I lifted it up and I thought, oh my God, this is so heavy. I'll never be able to lift this up. But I did, and I'm quite small. I don't know if you can actually, I'm just about 5'1", so it just felt like it didn't feel right for me. But then I persevered, and I thought, gosh, I really, really like this. I don't know if it was a sense of power or the freedom of it, because you know, it's like you don't have to go out and run a 5 mile, or you go to a gym and slog it out and sweat and go on to machines that really assist you. When you lift a kettlebell, you're doing that on your own. It's your one handheld gym equipment, really. Something you can do at home. You don't need to go to a kettlebell class to do it. And it works out it's cardio, it's muscular endurance, and good strength in your legs, helps your lower back, your heart and your lungs.
Amazing.
And it's great for balance and flexibility. It's just a wonderful tool, really.
Now we've got,
listening to that, Kathleen, I mean, that's it's not just inspirational, because it is, but it would make it so attractive to take up and to do it.
Yeah, well, as I say, I was 61, so hadn't done anything before. And one of the reasons I wanted to do weight-bearing exercise was I was diagnosed with peri-osteoporosis, and they wanted to put me on a drug right away. And I said, well, okay, I was a bit timid in those days, and I thought, I'll try it. So I tried it for a week. I said, no, that's not for me. So I Googled and I found out that weight bearing exercise is great for your bones, absolutely tremendous for your bones, any weight bearing exercise. So that was, and all of a sudden, friend comes forward with kettlebells, and I thought, oh, that's weight bearing, we'll try that. So I haven't been on any drugs. And by the way, they haven't even chased me up to find out why I haven't been on this drug.
I mean, it just shows you the importance of exercise, and in particular, you know, the kind of weight bearing, you know, exercise. They always do suggest that's a really good form to take.
I would suggest it for girls of a certain age. It's just something that I think would frighten them, really, you know, going into a gym and lifting weights, and whether it's kettlebells or dumbbells or barbells or whatever, anything that gets your arms and your muscles going, your legs, strengthen those thighs, the hips, get all that muscled up. And this is when this would help you from not falling about when you're at home and breaking a hip and being a burden in the NHS. And but it's how it makes you feel. It empowers you, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Kathleen, they shouldn't just have kettlebells on prescription. They should have you on prescription. You're
well, you should see my muscles. I've got good muscles.
Well, let me get this. Was that the gun show? I missed that there.
When you're talking about things that, when I've been into a gym, I mean, I'm not a fan of gyms, and if I go to a gym, I'm doing the treadmill because I am slightly intimidated by the weights, and they're thinking, I'm not going to do weights. It's not for me. And you see all the folk out there doing the weights. I've played sport all my life at not a decent level, but it's kept me on the straight and narrow, out of the pub, relatively fit, good group of people, that type of thing. So I've never been mentored or trained on how to properly keep myself fit. And you've gave me an insight tonight that no one else in my life ever has on how to keep fit and the benefits of it.
Oh yeah, tremendous. I just can't stress that enough. It's tremendous benefit. Yeah, it's maybe intimidating to start with, but the minute you pick a dumbbell up or a barbell or whatever, providing you know you get the technique right, you get your back and right and everything else, I don't think you'll look back.
Yeah, you really enjoy it. Now, Kathleen, you very kindly sent us through a couple of videos tonight. So we're going to show the first one, which is you in action on the kettlebells. Now, as I mentioned, the soundtrack on it's the Kaiser Chiefs. So to stay out of Facebook jail, I'm going to put the mute down. But what that means is we can talk over it. So as we're showing this video, it'd be really good for you to give us a little bit of a kind of commentary on what you're doing and what the purpose is and how you lift it and perhaps some of the techniques. So let me just get that up on screen right now. And that's us. That should be us. So tell us all about what we're seeing now, Kathleen.
Right. So this is called a long cycle, which is a clean and a press and a jerk. So the momentum here is you double dip, what we call a double dip all the time. So you're like when I'm going down here, swinging it through your legs, and then I don't really know how to describe that.
You're not rigid. There's a lot of knee bending going on.
There's a lot of it's the legs. This particular exercise uses a lot of uses the power in your legs really, and the swinging it up into clean. They call that clean.
Right.
And then to get them in, then you lift your heels up, bring it down, and then that gives you, it's your legs that lifts the kettlebell up. And in a competition, you have to what they call is because all the judges, when you're in a comp, you have to have your arms straight like that. It's called fixation. So if you have your arm bent like that, you would get a rep from the judge. So your hand has got to be, so it's getting that right up there. It's getting that fixation right up there. And this all comes from your legs, your hips and everything. Yeah.
Wow, is that a time-based thing, Kathleen? You've got to do that cleanly within a certain amount of time, and you count how many you've done.
Yeah, it's all rep based. So once you've got it up there in fixation, they'll give you a rep for that. So in a competition, it's 10 minutes and whatever reps you do.
Oh my goodness! And do you what sort of weight is that, Kathleen?
That's
and do you
12.
get to change arms?
Yeah, you do. That's a 12 kilo kettlebell. So
Right.
you can only one switch. So yeah, you're only allowed one switch. Now I've got a good arm, and I've got my left arm's a bit is not as strong as my right one. So if I get tired, so I'm on my left just now. So I must be nearing. Can't see what the time is in the clock. So I'll give myself roughly 4 minutes. I always start off with my left. I'll give myself 4 minutes, perhaps on the left, because I know I'm going to tire, and then I'll switch to the right, and I've got 6 minutes left with this good arm. So that's how most people play it.
They start off with their weak arm, and then they go to their strong arm to have a good finish.
Well, you want a good finish,
That's amazing, and clearly you're competing against other folk there, but you're trying, I guess, to concentrate and not be distracted at how well
it is difficult because you've got there's six platforms, I think 5 or 6 platforms, and you can actually see, depending where you are, you can actually see in the peripheral vision, you can actually see the person to the right and the person to the left, and you're trying not to look at their reps, But near the end, whoever you're competing against, you will check out their reps, and in the last minute, you have to have enough in the tank to really, really push it out. And you could only be about like 2 or 3 reps behind the person that you're competing against to your right or whatever, or further down or whatever, and you've really got to really go at it for the last minute.
Was that, have you always been competitive, Kathleen, or did this bring it out?
No, never in my life have I been competitive.
What did you do? What did you do for a living, Kathleen?
I worked in the accounts department in Ciba Geigy for 23 years.
Yeah.
You would have paid my mum's wages then.
Oh really? No, I wasn't in the wages department. I was in the ledgers department.
Oh, the ledgers department.
Yeah,
well,
it was when it started. I was made redundant when I was 51. They were starting to move things slowly down to Manchester, and my section of the accounts department went down to Manchester, and I just took retirement then, really.
You took
retirement. Started doing project work.
Are you still fully involved then, Kathleen, in the kettlebell world and training?
Yeah, I have PT on a Tuesday, and I go to a kettlebell class on a Thursday, and there's a kettlebell class. Well, it's not all kettlebells; it's weights as well, on a Saturday for 2 hours. So I go 3 days a week.
Amazing. Now, talking about weights, I've got the very last video that we're going to show of you is, and it might appear because it's a kind of portrait video, it'll probably appear over the top of our images here. But I'm going to take us off screen for a wee second. I'll show the video and then I'll bring us back on. So hold on 1 second. That's amazing.
You're doing the weights as well, Kathleen. So you're multitasking. Are you doing that in the gym as well?
Yeah, we mix it up because.
Now that's a deadlift, Kathleen. Is that right?
Sorry.
That's a deadlift. Is that correct?
That's a deadlift. I think that was 80 kilos.
But you've done more.
I've done 100. But only did that as a challenge for my 70th birthday, and I only did one rep. But that was okay.
Just for context for people watching, we were talking about kilos and weight earlier on. 100 kilos. As an adult 5'7" man, I'm 90 kilos. So that's me and a wee bit going like that.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. We've got a quick question in from New York. Were you very sore when you started this at 61, Kathleen?
Yeah, well, sore. Well, your muscles, it's just muscle soreness. It goes away. But yeah, if you've never used these muscles in 60 odd years, then yeah, they're going to cry out a little bit. My God, what are you doing to me? Please stop.
Amazing. Now, just before we finish off, Kathleen, because I mean, Gary's mentioned that he's learned stuff from you tonight. I've learned stuff from you tonight. So many people who are so inspired. And clearly this was a point in your life where you were either going to go down a route of medication, seeing the doctor, etc., or you were going to do something physical against that. So I guess ultimately you've got a message that you want to share. So what would you say to people who are either getting slightly older in their years or thinking about taking up weight training, or anything that you'd want to say about what it is that you do and how you would encourage us?
Yeah, I suppose it depends on what their fitness levels are, really. But if they haven't done much fitness and they are thinking that they're getting stiff, or you can't bend down properly, or you can't sit on the floor with your grandchildren and not get up. So there's messages there like, my legs are not strong, or you can't lift yourself out, you can't push yourself out the bath when you're having a bath. These kind of things, I always think, are messages that you really need to get strong and find the right thing for you. Get a kettlebell, do it at home, do swings, which is fantastic, gets you all your lower back strength and all that, and see how you feel. You might not like it, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look at a weight and say, oh my God, I can't lift that. Try it low level and then just work your way up. But get those legs, get those muscles working in your legs, get those arms strong, and they will save you. And you will enjoy it.
Fantastic. Well, listen, a wee message in here from Jackie. Jackie's at that stage right now waiting for a referral. Very interested in your story. And obviously, appropriate medical cautions need to be taken and so on. But I'm sure Jackie got a good dose of inspiration from hearing your story tonight. Kathleen, you're an amazing woman.
Thank you.
I was wanting to, before we finish, I don't think we've gave you the opportunity to say what you are now in your category. Could you remind us what you've achieved in your category in kettlebell again, please, Kathleen?
I've got 7 gold medals, 4 silver and 2 bronze.
But that's not all. What are you now, Kathleen?
What do you mean?
What champion are you? I'm still the world
kettlebell champion for my age category.
Amazing. You're a champion, not just of the world in your category, Kathleen. You're an absolute inspiration to anyone, not just the older generation, which you are. You're an inspiration to me, Andy slightly younger. And there's Annette going, me and all, and everybody that's watching. So many congratulations on your achievement.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely fantastic, Kathleen. Keep lifting the weights. If you run out of the kettlebells, you can lift the Granwains above your head as well, I'm sure, no doubt.
Don't have any.
Well, listen, you take care. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show, and we look forward to more wonderful gold medals coming your way, Kathleen.
Keep going.
Well done, Kathleen. Thanks for coming on the show.
Okay. Thanks,
bye
Gary.
now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
No excuses, Gary.
Andy, there are many excuses, but there's many inspirational people in the world, and none better than Kathleen. That was tremendous.
That was
tremendous. Great. And I have a wee thing in the back of my head when I'm out running, and it gets sore. And I mean, I've not ran for a while, but I always reflect on the lady who used to run marathons, and she ran them when she had cancer, and she sadly passed away and she always inspired me because she was always sorer than me. But Kathleen's inspired so many people tonight, and her story is astounding.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is, I mean, there's so many angles to that, Gary. It's the age that she started at quite late on, and now continuing to train, and the shortness of period of time that she's been training for as well. What a wonderful message as well. Obviously for, you know, folks who get a wee bit older, if they've got, you know, physical challenges coming along, being able to lift weights, if done safely and appropriately, can really prevent or head off some of those challenges that you might see in later life. I'm inspired, Gary, for
totally.
sure.
And then one thing that came to mind, I might take it up if it helps me get my socks on easier in the morning. As I'm getting to a certain age, I'm going, I used to be able to do this.
Well, I was watching Joanna Lumley was on through the week there, and I was watching her. She's brilliant. I think Joanna Lumley's great. And she had a medical, and the doctor had taken a note down to say, can still cut own toenails.
Oh, yes. That's a criteria. That's a measure.
The important things in life. Well, listen, tonight's show was kind of organised by Annette, who does a question of the week. So I'm going to bring Annette on, and we'll cover question of the week. Annette, how you doing?
I'm doing good. She is brilliant, isn't she? She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Fantastic. True inspiration for me.
It's great to give Kathleen a different platform to say, look, this is me, and she actually blossomed as the conversation went on. And I mean, I feel really proud to just have that wee 5-10 minutes with her.
And she's ours. She's Paisley's. She's brilliant.
Well, she is. She's a Paisley, yeah. And Annette, you're the common link because you brought in both guests this evening, so you know them both from what you do, and you make sure that Kathleen is as mobile and as fit and as injury free as she needs to be able to be world champion.
Well, that's it. She phoned up looking for an appointment, and she told me her age, and I was like, oh no, I don't have any space, so I'll put you in. I felt there's an old woman coming, she's hurt her shoulder and stuff, and then came through the door, said, no, I'm world champion and I'm a kettlebell, and honestly, it was just so inspirational, and everybody that I've met associated with her, because we've went and supported her as she's doing our rounds, because you've got to get through certain stages to get to compete. Yeah. And just everybody is inspired by her. She's absolutely amazing. So.
I know Kathleen's hanging about in the background. I like that story about I went to my first thing, and there was all folk with different ages, and how'd you go on? Oh, I won that.
Gold medal.
I know. We talk all the time about what she's lifting and what she's doing. She's like, she just comes down, like, you're working away on her, and she goes, oh, what'd you lift today? She's like, 100 kilos. I was like, that's about 15 and a half stone. That's massive.
I know, and there was a few comments in this evening. You could definitely see everyone being so impressed. We had where was it? See if I can find it. Norma, the only kettle that she lifts is the one for making the tea. Likewise with Paul Stewart. Can he do a rep of the kettle without giant effort? So, people put to shame.
We'll need to get
amazing stuff that Kathleen's doing. So brilliant, Annette.
One thing I wanted to kind of highlight there was also Catherine went to this community, and she was absorbed into the community. Everybody has been working with her, supporting her. You heard them cheering her on, which was completely different from her current life, So people didn't quite understand it, and so challenged her a little bit. Why are you doing this? And you shouldn't be doing this. And she pushed right back, and she says, brilliant. No, I'm doing this. It was a right Scottish Paisley girl saying, no, I'm doing it. Stop me. And it was good. And that's what I take away from her all the time.
Oh, no, brilliant. Now, however, Annette, I have to compliment you on your choice of T-shirt this evening.
Looking very smart.
And listen, it's not just us that are getting in on the act, folks. We do have our merchandise. This is the merchandise promo slot. We do have our merchandise on sale. And here's here's our very own Paul Stewart with a chat show mug. Fantastic.
In more ways than one. And Paul is the first volunteer for Paisley Community Trust's Chatathon Get Fitathon.
Oh, Chatathon Get Fit. Oh, right. I see what you did there. But apparently, Paul has been getting his children to make him cups of tea at 8:10 every evening, just to bring in his cup of tea. That's what you need to do with these folks.
And somebody's got to make it for you. Just hand it in.
Absolutely, pass it in from the side. Anyway, Annette, you're here for question of the week, so tell us.
Every penny of the merch goes to our charitable objectives.
Indeed, it does. A word
That
from
is
us.
what we're trying to do for the community. So that's the whole point of it. Obviously to show that we love Paisley and stuff, but it's also to help us, move our things forward and our objectives forward. So we appreciate all the support. So thank you.
Indeed.
But this week's question, again, wasn't great response, to be honest. We got, again, under 100 people responding. So I think people are maybe getting a wee bit tired of our questions at the moment. So, so this week's question was, with the new ongoing regeneration of Paisley Town Centre, would you consider it a desirable place to live? So a good response from the 68 people that responded. We had about 69 people say yes, they would. Commenting about, obviously, the cafes, the green spaces, etc. But a lot of the social media comments were saying, well, they know what's coming. So it might not be desirable just now, but they know in the future it's going to be. They know about all the developments that's happening. They're quite excited about that in terms of the people that were answering the question.
Yeah, no, I thought some of the conversation was really good, and in fact, there was one chap popped up and he says, who's compiling this data? Who's compiling these analytics? And I said, well, listen, it's Paisley Community Trust. We're putting out questions.
You're breaking up, Andy.
Oh, am I still here? Have I gone?
Yeah, you're still here. We just heard every second word there.
Oh dear. Oh well, that's maybe a good thing. Am I back? Is the audio working now?
It is, yes.
I can hear you all right, Andy. I've seen that as well on the comments, and the guys, you're able to turn them round.
Well, absolutely. We ask the questions. We go out to the community. The community give us questions to ask. And then we use SurveyMonkey, which is industry standard platform technology that we use. And we just post the results. We encourage the conversation. And he actually followed Paisley Community Trust thereon. I don't know if he signed up to become a member yet, but that's the kind of engagement that we want from these kind of things. We're keen to hear your positions, your opinions. And if you've got a question for question of the week, send them in and we'd be delighted to ask them. So
I was going to say that those numbers are similar to the week before. So there's an almost, we'll wait and see what happens with Paisley, and then it might turn round. And I just a thought, I'd be interested in those numbers, and when we break this idea that we've had about the Mirren Mile.
Oh, fantastic.
No, it's there.
It's been written down. It's been written down.
Don't tell him that was ours, isn't it? Me and you came up with that.
This week we wanted to have a wee bit of fun, and we thought maybe we're being too serious now. We've kind of talked about the regeneration, the development, the new flats developments and things like that. So we thought, let's have a wee bit of fun, and we went back out and asked a few people what would they want to ask. And so we had a fantastic question. So I don't know, I thought you were going to show this zip slide, but would you support the installation of a zip wire run in Barshaw Park, running from the top of the hill across the pond?
That's a great question. Now, Annette, I don't have the video. We'll try and maybe post it up on our social media to accompany the question. But this is basically these kind of things that you see at the likes of Go Ape and stuff like that, where it's a huge zip wire that you whiz down from one area to the other. And the suggestion is the top of Barshaw Park Hill, I'm guessing, a structure up there. that would whiz down and over the pond. That's what we're interested in hearing, whether folk would be interested in.
That does sound interesting. Can you dip your bahookie into the pond and do a kind of skim?
It might generate visitors. It might generate an income for the park or the Friends of Bar Shaw. It just bring people into Paisley and into our green spaces. So it was a good question. I've copied the link in for you, Andy, in the private chat. I don't know if you can play that or not, but if not, we'll share it on social media.
We'll share that. Yeah, we'll share that on social media for sure. And folks, this is that part of the show where you get your smartphones out.
Oh.
So get your smartphones out, stick it onto camera.
There we go, camera.
Right, camera up to the screen, QR code.
There it came up there.
And there's your question.
There it says
in Paisley, Bar Shaw.
Support the installation of zip wire. There you go, photo in, done.
And you get those results instantaneously, don't you?
I do. I've just got it.
Amazing. Absolutely.
How many folk have voted already on it?
Well, I just get a notification that that's our first response, and a week congratulations.
That was me.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Annette, that's been a fantastic question of the week last week, fantastic question of the week this week, and I'm going to ask you, because you were the common link between tonight's two guests, and I know Frank's got a top on there behind you, so he's a wee bit dressed up this evening, but I was going to ask you. There we go.
Oh, Frank, get your gear on.
Get your gear on, Frank. I was going to ask you to introduce our next guest.
Thank you. So Stephanie, this is Stephanie that's coming on, and she is representing Great Britain for karate, and I work alongside sometimes Stephanie, and I'm their Mrs. Miyagi, so I do all the working of all the kids and stuff like that, working when they're competing. And I've been to Russia, Greece, Turkey, all over the place.
Wow.
With the squad, and Stephanie's part of that squad. Amazing, inspirational, and again, medal winning. So brilliant, fantastic.
What an introduction.
Hi.
Stephanie, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good.
Right.
Now, Stephanie, your video image is a wee bit juddery to me. Is it the same for everybody else?
That's for me.
I've just got a blank. I can't see Stephanie at all.
Oh, it's so clear on mine. I don't know what's happening there.
Well, we can hear you loud and clear, so hopefully, folks, you're beaming up loud. Annette, we're going to let you go and get on with your evening. Thank you so much indeed.
Thanks,
Have
Annette.
a great show, Steph. Bye.
See you later. Bye. So, Stephanie, thank you so much indeed for joining us this evening. We've had one wonderful guest on already, on to our second wonderful guest, and it would be great if you could introduce yourself and tell us all a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I loved listening to Kathleen there. That was I just wanted to go lift some kettlebells after listening to that. So my name's Steph Connell. I have been involved in karate my whole life. My dad runs a club and has ran a club in Renfrewshire for over 40 years. So when I was born, I was just kind of taken along as a baby, and then I've never left. So just stayed there the whole time. I started getting into competition. I started representing Scotland when I was 16, and I stayed as all the way through juniors through to seniors for about, I think it was 14 years or something. I was competing for the national team, and then shortly after I finished competing for the national team, I started coaching the national team. So I just can't leave. So it's been fun I've been involved in that role, coaching now for about 4 years. And then more recently, when karate has the opportunity to be a demo sport at Tokyo 2020/2021, I was appointed the British karate coach and responsible for trying to help the athletes sort of move up the rankings and position themselves well to qualify for Tokyo. So yeah, it's been a fun time.
And all based in downtown Paisley as well.
Yeah, so so I live in Paisley, and our club is in Renfrew Leisure Centre. So so that's where we operate out of at least 3 times a week, and then sometimes the elite athletes that train with us do over and above the normal classes that we do there.
Yeah,
that's where I play my 5, Steph. So we've got something.
I probably saw you. I always wave to the guys playing 5s.
Oh, fantastic! So clearly, you mentioned that your father was a karate instructor, and when you came along, you instantly started training. So how long have you been training karate for? And I guess everybody thinks about how long it took you to get your black belt, which I know you are. So tell us a wee bit about the length of time that's involved there, Steph.
Yeah. So I think it's probably a little bit quicker now, but for me, so I started when I was 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I can't even.
Well, you don't need to reveal your age.
over 30 years. That's over 30 years of training karate. And I got my black belt when I was 15. And at the time, like for our association at the time, that was like a huge deal because there was no junior black belts at that point. So myself and my like peer group at the time coming through, we were the first ones to really. I know it happens in other karate schools, but it didn't in ours, so that was a big deal. So we got our junior dan grade when we were 15, and then we had to do it again when we turned senior, and kind of ratify that grading to turn it into a senior black belt.
And what's senior in the sport? Is it 16 and over?
So it's a good question, actually. It depends on what discipline you do in the sport. So you've got kata, which is form and routine, and you're classed as a senior 16 and up for that discipline. And then you've got committee, which is the fighting, the combat, like contact part of it, and that's 18 up.
Okay. All right, okay. See, this is all news to me, Steph. This is all kind of jargon and all good stuff. And what I picked up on earlier, the Olympics, I always thought karate was part of the Olympics, and if it's not, why am I picking up on that wrong?
And so many people do. So many people, like when we were really pushing, my dad was really involved in the bid for helping karate get. So he was in Rio at the last Olympics when it was all, we were kind of doing a lot of the bidding and stuff like that. And the amount of people that say to you, but karate's already in it. Like it's just it kind of gets lumped in with the other martial arts like judo and taekwondo and stuff like that, and people just assume it's there. But no, this is the first time, and actually, sadly, it's the first and last time because it's not going to be in Paris 2024. So it's and I'm excited that at least it'll get a showcase at the top level.
A showcase in the Olympics, because obviously you've got it's Tokyo, so you know Japan is synonymous with the very origins of karate, so that must be quite a thing to be showcasing karate at.
So it's so exciting.
You're going to be competing against an international audience. So tell us a wee bit about your particular role in the as kata coach. What's involved in that, and what do we expect to see from this when it comes to the Olympics?
So we still have to, so currently GB doesn't have anyone who has automatically qualified. So because it's a showcase event, it's a very limited group of athletes in each weight division and in each category. So it's 10 out of the whole world, only 10 per weight category, 10 males for kata, 10 females for kata. So it's like the hardest qualification could ever be, but there's next Wednesday the GB team fly out to Paris for the final qualifier, so there's still hope there, and obviously they're very ambitious. It's a once in a lifetime type thing, so we'll see how that goes, but it's just wonderful for the athletes to be involved in the process and be treated like, because we're an amateur sport. And we're just kind of, this whole process has been very professional. So it's really nice to be involved in that in that setup and have that experience. And it's great for the athletes as well.
Yeah, Steph, why would the Olympics do that? I mean, I thought the whole process related to getting a sport in and then transitioning it into the Olympic thing was what you did, not in and out. What was that about?
think like everything, there's always competing demands, isn't there, and competing interests on what's included and what's not. And I think the Olympics is working hard to appeal to younger audiences, because breakdancing is going to be part of 2024. Like, there's a few new kind of up and coming sports like the BMXing and stuff that's been involved in the last Olympics. So I think it's just a little bit of trends, but I find it surprising as well, because karate is the 4th biggest participation sport in the UK, and that's the same for a lot of countries across the world. The participation numbers are huge. So maybe, like, turning it back on ourselves, karate's got a little bit to do to make it a more spectator friendly sport. So I think if we work
come on, Steph, I know you're being diplomatic here, but surely breakdancing and skateboarding is not a sport.
No, I couldn't possibly speak to anything like that. If people enjoy it, I don't know, you can call it a sport, I suppose.
Well, I'm a competitor then. I used to have a skateboard and the pads and all the gear. I've been on the pipeline of Olympics greatness.
That's it, absolutely. Now's your time.
I'm not breakdancing. I thought breakdancing was more of a cultural art form than it was a sport. If it was something like the free running, the parkour, I could kind of get that.
Yeah.
But breakdancing, that's going to challenge me a little bit to see that being an Olympic sport.
It's strange, isn't it? And the other sport that everyone thinks is Olympic and isn't is squash, which is such a travesty. So squash and karate, we're going through the bidding process for Tokyo together. Yeah. And squash is an amazing sport that everybody just assumes is in there as well. So yes, who knows what the logic is behind it.
Listen, we've got breaking news. Sorry to interrupt. Breaking news.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. The thing that caught my eye better
was the other comment.
Was the other comment was about the pogo stick being in the Olympics, because I don't know if you've caught any of our shows before, but we're having a pogo stick amnesty, and so far only one person has handed in the pogo stick.
So I think that should be the next bid that's made for the Olympics.
Well, absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask a question, Gary. Is Steph still a wee bit juddery to you?
Yes.
Or I'm so sorry.
It's okay, but what we're going to do, we're going to attempt to fix this, right?
Okay.
Now, Steph, I've got a video of you doing some kata, and this is we'll show the initial start part of it, and these are effectively the beginners katas, the basic katas that you would teach, not the advanced katas that you would be doing by way of demonstration for the Olympics. But when I play that gives you an opportunity to just pop back out, reset your Wi-Fi, switch on and off, or not. Don't do your router. Just kind of do your connection, or if anybody's downloading Netflix movies or whatever, maybe put that on pause for now, and then so you've got about 2 minutes, and then we'll hopefully come back into the studio as usual.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to play the video and let you just switch off and switch back on again. No problem. And so here's a video of Steph doing some of her kata.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Connell. I'm a chief instructor here at Shittlekai, Scotland, and also the head kata coach for the Scotland national team. When you start karate, there's 3 main components that you learn: kihon, which is basics, kumite, which is sparring, and kata, which is what we're going to take you through now. You learn 2 very basic ones when you first join our club, called the 3-step and the 5-step, and then you learn the 5 heian katas. Kata 3-step. Kata 5-step. Heian ni done.
Definitely, you're back.
Steph, welcome back.
You look.
That was mesmerising. From a whoa, can't keep your eyes open, that type of thing. That was amazing.
Oh, thanks. There were some good outtakes from that making the videos, I can tell you.
No,
But
and listen, you're back. We can see you and we can hear you, and you're not kind of all juddery now, so that's much better. So, Steph, we played that video there which showed some of the basic katas and Heian Nidan kata. So tell people what they were seeing there. What's the importance of kata within karate?
So yeah, so kata is just building up the basic building blocks. So the basics that you learn, it's just putting them in hands, and that's have I got an echo?
No, you're still here.
Okay, good.
You froze a wee bit. We could hear you.
Oh, dear.
Keep going.
And that's fighting imagination. So each time you take direct opponent, you're defending and finishing that, making sure that opponent isn't a threat to you anymore. And then obviously as you progress through the grades and through the levels and become more experienced, the difficulty factor in the katas increases as you progress through the levels.
Yep. So basically, every movement that we saw there would effectively be against an attack or a defense as such. Yep.
Yeah.
And it progressively gets more complicated as you go through the different stages.
That's it, and more fast paced, and like the ethos of karate is like defend first. So you'll notice in the vast majority of instances, it's always a block followed by an attack. So it's defend yourself first. So the rules in karate is you don't instigate the attacks. You're try to deflect where you can, but then if you have to use what you've learned, then you do.
Got you.
And you're not allowed to use this on the street, Steph. Is that the rule?
Well, it's certainly what we tell kids when they start learning karate, so that people don't go out and fight and get in trouble when they shouldn't. But well, I don't know. I just think it's great for people to do any form of martial arts for at least some of their life, because I think it gives you some confidence in your ability to even just have a bit more of a chance. So I know that if I had to use it, I wouldn't hesitate. So.
Yeah, absolutely. A good self-defense, and clearly a good, good for your physical fitness, good discipline, good to be part of a club. And I guess, you mentioned that you started at a young age. You've been working through your karate. And then I guess, what was the process for the Olympics? Were you selected? Was that the deal? Because that, there's the British Karate Federation, and your name's there down as the Great British Delegation Kata coach with your name next to it. Did you have to go through a selection criteria to be picked to do that?
I did. We did interviews a long time ago, actually, not long after it was announced we were going to be in Tokyo. So that's probably going back 4 years now. By people from the home nations, the presidents of the home nations. It's the most nervous I've ever been in an interview in my life, and I knew all these people from being on the circuit, but sometimes it's worse being interviewed by people that you know, isn't it? So so that was fun, but it went well, and we've not had, like a lot of people recently, we've not had as much of a run in as you would normally like, but the athletes that I have the pleasure of taking over to this tournament, they're just phenomenal. Like, they're so self-motivated, driven. They've actually enhanced their ability through lockdown, just through sheer determination and drive, and it's so inspiring to watch. And I'm really proud to be taking them to the tournament.
Yeah, and that process, Steph, of becoming coach, and now, I mean, the Olympics is just round the corner, as we like to say in this show. How far away are we from the Olympics?
So the end of last week in July, beginning of August, is the Olympics. So the main focus for us has been this qualifier next week. So that's where all the work is kind of driven to, and then what happens beyond that is a bonus. So we've been really, really working and focused towards that. The British Karate Federation have been phenomenal in the setup and providing sort of a head of delegation and just the athletes and myself, we've not had to think about anything. It's just really nice to be in that professional environment. Usually it's me looking for somewhere for us to stay and how we're going to get from the airport to the venue and all that kind of thing. And it's just been brilliant to see that all arranged and be part of the professional setup.
Oh, brilliant. And in terms of the Olympics, what are the dates for the Olympics and what are the dates? Because you're off to initially Paris, is that correct first?
Yeah, so Paris will determine whether anyone from GB goes over to Tokyo.
Yeah, to Tokyo.
So the last, can't remember the exact start date of the Olympics, but the last week in July, the first week in August, it runs over that 2-week period.
Yeah. Okay. But you'll be off to Paris fairly soon then.
Yeah. So we're all meeting next Tuesday, and of course getting all our COVID tests done and everything that needs to get in kit and everything's passed out, and then we leave London on the Wednesday morning to go over.
Now, clearly, I have to ask you, and I'm very sure you will have a great squad. You'll do us all proud in terms of qualification for Tokyo, but then you'll be, before you know it, you'll be, gear on a plane, heading off to Tokyo for the Olympics. Let's say we're going to see that happen for you. From Japan to Scotland, and then back to Japan again, because obviously karate originated over there. That must be quite daunting. Are you daunted by that, or do you think more, bring it on? We're taking it to the home soil here.
Absolutely. I've had the pleasure of training and kind of staying out in Japan for a good few spells in the past, and it's my favorite place. So it's like second home, and the venue of where the karate is taking place in the Olympics in the Tokyo Budokan, it's called.
Okay.
It's just the most incredible venue. If you think of amazing football stadiums like the Bernabeu, whatever it is that people absolutely love to go to, the Budokan is the version of that. So just anticipating the atmosphere that's going to be there, and obviously in karate's kind of homeland, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, a question's come in, Andy, which I've found a really interesting question, because maybe we take it for granted that this is a national sport. Oh, wait a minute, that's not the question. It's this one. Who finances the trips?
So in this occasion, the British Karate Federation are financing it, which is so kind of them, because none of the governing bodies in the UK are for profit, really. They all just operate to give governance to the federations and the home nations. So they've really pulled together and really went above and beyond to make sure that we never had to dip into our own pockets. So normally when I go away with the Scotland squad, the athletes fund themselves, and the clubs are funded through the funds raised by the national team pool training sessions. So whereas for an opportunity for the athletes to have it funded for them by the British Karate Federation's amazing, really nice.
Yeah.
And your own, do you have a fundraising process, or is it just literally out of your own pocket?
It is. We've went through spells in the past of being good with fundraisers, and it's really came from in a club basis. We don't do it at a Scottish team level. So as a club out of Renfrew, it's really been driven by having some parents that have been really into it and knowing what they're doing, and they've been a brilliant driver. So then sometimes when they parents leave, we have a bit of a hole for a while, and it takes us a bit of time to get back, because it takes time and effort and dedicated people to make that happen. So we could definitely do a little bit better on our fundraising for sure.
Yeah, no, I think the last year has been such a challenge, and particularly for sports like karate, I would imagine, because you need to get close contact, and someone was mentioning judo earlier on. With COVID, that would have just basically put paid to all of that.
Completely stopped. And from the kind of elite sport level, it was really hard, because a lot of other countries had different rules, and their national teams were allowed to meet, and they were allowed. It's really hard, especially for young ones going, I'm going to be competing against them from Central Europe in a few months' time, and they've trained together for a year, whereas we've only been in for a couple of weeks now. So there's a lot of coaching around how to help them not let that affect them and build them back up and get them to the right place. Because the world of social media, you see what everybody's doing now, don't you? So
yeah, absolutely. You get
Yeah,
some support in tonight.
I'm totally inspired by everything that I've seen tonight, because this is all new to me, the karate thing, and me thinking it was already an Olympic sport. And I mean, I want to wish you and the sport every success, and I hope that this showcase in Tokyo goes really, really well. And I hope not that you just enjoy it yourself, but that you and the team compete.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll do us all proud.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do our very best.
Yeah, fantastic, Steph. So over the next few weeks, it's going to be a lot of hard work put in by you and the team. So good luck. Keep in touch, and I guess bring back some medals, bring back some gold.
Yeah, we'll do our very best.
And have a word with the breakdancers, Steph.
Are you looking to get in the team, Gary? Can you still do some body popping, Gary?
Well, I've done a bit of breakdancing in my day. In fact, I remember a funny wee story. Breakdancing was all the rage, and we went camping in the south of France, me and my mates, and we decided to breakdance, and our breakdance was, right, we lie on our back and take turns to spin each other. That was it. So another route to Olympic stardom started way back then.
Absolutely. Stephanie, we'll let you go. Thanks once again, and good luck. Okay.
Marvelous. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Bye now. Bye. Well, that was great, Gary.
I've been put to shame twice tonight, Andy. That was amazing.
Feeling inspired. Well, at least I went out for a run last night, so that doesn't kind of shame me that much there. But when you see, you think of Paisley, you think of some of the good actors and actresses that we have in the town, some of the performers, the singers, and various other things. But we do have world-class athletes and sports people in Paisley, and that's great to celebrate as well, Gary.
Yeah, it is, Andy, and it's looking at sports that are maybe not high-profile sports.
Yeah,
but the people that you see in every walk of life, when you're maybe inspired by people, or maybe you become a wee bit kind of, that's a famous person. In certain sports, you get that. People are people, Andy.
Yep.
And the two guests we've had on tonight, the top of their game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get better than the guests we've had on the show tonight. No matter the barriers, no matter the age, no matter the financial limitations, they've risen to the top of their sport, and it's full credit to them.
Oh, they absolutely have, Gary. But I was surprised to hear that breakdancing was an Olympic sport.
Oh, some of it's a joke, Andy. When you'll have BMX in the Olympics, you'll have those things that aren't sports.
Aye.
Taking over a mantle from sports like the martial arts, which need so much discipline, Andy. And not just physical but mental.
Oh, absolutely.
Then you get some wee hoffet coming along with a stupid tap, a tap back to front, and Jay-Z playing in the background, and he gets a bronze medal to go with his silver and his dollar sign hanging off his gold.
Aye, you've got to take along your own roll of linoleum, Gary.
Well, something all right. But I'm going to look out my skateboard and I'll be up and down the hill. But I think there should be or one of the things that the Scots would excel at the Olympics in a new sport. It's the gig.
Or the bogey.
The gig or the bogey. That's how daft it's getting, though. I mean, to think that karate is not an Olympic sport.
Aye.
And that those other things that aren't even sports are in the Olympics.
Well, judo's been in, taekwondo's been in. And it was interesting about squash and badminton. The differences between them. But, I think everybody's missed the Olympic Games. That's although I don't particularly take much notice in sport when the Olympics are on or the World Cup. That's those big world celebrations. Or the Winter Games, the Winter Olympics are on. That's when I tend to tune in, and watch that kind of stuff. But it's fantastic. And what we've heard tonight is We'll come to that in a second.
Eddie, come on. Eddie,
Yep.
just walk on. Just walk on, if you like that, and just walk back up.
Have you seen what those sumo wrestlers wear? At least with karate and all that, you've got your karate suit on and stuff, you know. But those sumo wrestlers, Eddie,
The only reason they wear what they wear, Andy, is so that the other guys get something to hold on to.
Oh, jeez, I love watching the sumo wrestling. It's great. On channel 507 on Sky is the Japanese channel, and they occasionally show the sumo wrestling. I love watching it. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Sumo's good. The sumo is good.
The art of it is amazing. But I can't remember what I was going to say. But it was
what's that side to side thing all about in the sumo?
What, when they're settling down in their stands before they go,
and they slap themselves in the buttocks. There's a wee bit of it.
That's all part of the form beforehand. That's sizing up your opponent. You know, that's all a bit of kind of bravado, and then you just wait, and then touch. The knuckles are on the floor of the dojo or the arena ring sort of thing. I can't remember what it's called again, and then boom, you
get that, big man. Right in the eyes. Hoocha!
Oh, absolutely.
How did we get to there? Anyway, remember the day that Scotland would have been world champion if darts was an Olympic sport. And that's how daft this is.
Or snooker. Listen, Stephen Henry, he was world champion. If he could have been Olympic gold medalist, if that was a sport. It's more I think if you can play it in a pub, it's not really a sport, is it, Gary?
Well, I'd have been the another route to Olympic greatness, the Afton Domino champion, 1984.
Did you get a gold medal for that, Gary?
No, there you go. See, dominoes.
Absolutely.
No, I used to play dominoes when I lived down south, and I came back up. They would always have my name in the hat. There's Gary back. You in for the doms tonight, Gary? You in for a game of doms? And Frida that ran the pub banned the gambling, so you weren't allowed to play for money because there was always a riot. But they would put the money in the wee domino tin thing. Yep. So everybody was kind of thought they were, hey, we're getting away with this because we're playing for money, Frida. So it was a Friday night special in the Afton, the dominoes. So dominoes in the front, darts in the back. So the Afton was a hotbed of sport.
A hotbed of sport, dominoes at Olympic level. Listen, watch out. Jackie had a domino trophy, Gary.
I don't like dominoes.
Listen, couple of things before we finish off this evening. So, what I was going to say, we talked about karate. We had Kathleen on talking about kettlebells. I guess ultimately the point is, and we've talked about this on the show a number of times in the past, is there's nothing to do in Paisley. You know, our young folk don't have anything to do. Well, there's karate clubs out there. There's karate clubs in Paisley. There's karate clubs in Renfrew. There's judo clubs out there. There's badminton clubs. There's squash clubs. There's domino clubs, right? There's tons of these sports. You can take up kettlebell lifting no matter what age you are. And if you get into these martial arts or sports or weightlifting things at a young age, that'll see you all the way through. It'll keep you out of trouble. And we've talked about, kids being, we're assuming it's kids because it's been witnessed, but the kids that are smashing up things, that they need to get their energy out in something, so therefore they go and smash something up. That kind of physical contact activity that you'll get, and it's controlled, either in karate or in judo or some of the other martial arts, boxing as well. It's an outlet for that type of physical activity that our young people do need. So if you're young yourself, or if you've got young folk, encourage them. There's a great number of clubs out there, and probably they all need our support right now as they come back from COVID, and you can see clearly the opportunity that lies. So I just wanted to say breakdancing as well, Eddie. Breakdancing you can always do.
You can't beat the buzzer getting a 666, Andy.
Full contact dominoes, Stuart. I like it. Now we had a quick question before we finish, Gary, because I'm aware we might overrun, but we had a question, and I don't know who it was, but they were asking about the PA1, PA2, PA3 membership restrictions at Paisley Community Trust.
Yes, you want me to explain it?
Go for it, Gary.
PA 1, 2 and 3 membership restriction of Paisley Community Trust is on advice. So the advice we got from organisations that are potential funders are looking for us to define our community. So you could have PA 1 to whatever and say that that might be Paisley. So Paisley postcode PA goes as far as Oban and as far as I'm aware. So it's quite a wide postcode. So the funders were really keen for us to nail down who our community is, who the community that might benefit, and restrict it. They needed us to restrict it so that they were saying our sphere of influence, let's say, is Paisley. And we want Paisley people to have an influence on what happens in their community. So defining the community to PA 1, 2 and 3 clearly defines your community.
Yep.
So in theory, and this is funders that are saying this as an advisor, in theory, if you had that slightly wider and 4, 5, 6 even, out to 10, you could have a situation where non-Paisley community could override the community.
Yep.
And override the wishes of the community.
Yeah.
So that's why PA 1, 2 and 3, that's Paisley's community, and a ring-fenced, clearly defined community. That's what it's about.
And what we are looking at is how we develop our membership engagement so that we've got members in a particular postal code, but then we've got friends of, supporters, partners, you know, corporate allies, all that sort of stuff. So that will be getting developed over the course. Thanks, Gary. I hope that answered. I hope that answered the question.
Here's a first. Thank you, Roddy.
You making sense, Gary. Right now, folks, we meant to trail this earlier on and we forgot, but next week is going to be a cracking show. And we can't tell you everything about it, but we can give you a wee clue about who our very, very special guest is going to be on next week's show. Aren't we able to hint at it, Gary?
We can hint at it, and we touched on some of the words that I used last week to project and look at what the ambience might be for outside.
Are you talking about the weather, Gary?
I was talking about the weather last week, and I said the weather was fairly inclement in the lead up to last week's show, and during last week's show was particularly inclement. And I had a forecast, Andy, didn't I? I had forecasted the weather that it would be mighty fine.
It would be mighty fine, Gary. So we're not going to give you too many other clues other than to say that we're going to get really chatty with our guest next week, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been chasing this guest for such a long time.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're hoping that the forecast for next week is positive, and folks, we can hope that you can all join us then. Watch out in social media for the big reveal on who's going to be joining us next week on Chat Show.
Yes, and let's hope that it's not a cloudy evening, that it becomes a sunny evening, and we don't rain in anyone's parade, and that we have lots and lots of fun talking about lots of stuff, as we normally do.
As we normally do. Well, listen, folks, until next week. Are we done, Gary? Is that us all finished off? It was a wonderful show tonight.
It's the longest show ever, Andy. We've overrun from a 45-minute to an hour and a half, for now an hour and 35 minutes. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Well, listen, folks, it's been great. We've had two inspirational guests. So if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will. So thanks to Kathleen and Steph for joining us. We wish them good luck.
I'm away to get the kettle on.
See what you did there, Gary.
You did that show to what I'm going to do today.
God, get it. Aye.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you all next week.
Good night.